In terms of the agenda, quite a lot of detail, as you'll see on there. So we feel it's important we update you on our current position from a county FA perspective. Ryan's going to talk you through the club affiliation and insurance, so you're up to speed with that. We had a clubs meeting yesterday morning. We've got another one tomorrow night, so we want to make sure you're all up to speed with that information. Obviously, then we'll go through league sanctioning for the new season, county cups. We'll talk you through how to use the grassroots technology portal, which I think will be very useful for you as leagues. And then Jenny's going to talk about safeguarding in terms of the latest updates. We'll then move on to league AGMs, and then we'll finish off with updates and maybe some support for clubs that you're thinking about for next season. And then if anybody's got anything else that we haven't covered, then obviously we can cover that in AOB. Okay, I'm going to hand you over to Ricky.
Thank you. Thanks, Liam. Evening, everybody. Hope everyone's staying safe and well. Just wanted to give you a position of where we are and what we're up to at this moment in time. So, following government advice, the update is that all affiliate grassroots football remains suspended. We did take the decision that we needed to furlough a number of staff. Certain staff members are working, but we are working remotely. We are trying to support clubs and leagues and members as much as we possibly can. So if you've got any questions during this period of time, if we can direct you to sending emails to info@derbyshire.fa.com, we'll respond as swiftly as possible as we can. The situation with COVID-19 is very fluid, is the best way we can describe it. At this stage, it is impossible to say when the season will start and what football will look like when we're back. Like you, we want to get back as soon as we can, and we are desperate to return. We hope that things will be back to normal at some point for next season, but certainly remains at the moment that there's going to possibly be a delay to the start of the season. The government will define and determine when current restrictions are to be lifted, and once of these have been lifted, we will look at when it's safe for football with the FA to permit grassroots football to start again. We have posted this out today, so this is the latest advice from the government around grassroots football. So this statement was prepared with the government, with DCMS and with the FA. So just to be clear, the following outdoor football activity is permitted. So playing football individually, practicing skills for fitness and individual skill, playing football with a family member or other people living in your household. An individual can play football with one person who is not from their household. Coaching of an adult player on one-to-one is allowed. All social distancing guidelines must be followed. Additionally, maintaining of grass and artificial football pitches is permitted, as long as social distancing and appropriate hygiene practices are followed. If an individual does have symptoms, living in a household with possible COVID-19, we're advising them to basically stay away and stay at home. Next slide, please, Ryan. Okay, so football activity that is not permitted, and this is in line with the government guidelines. So coaching a child under 18 from a different household one-to-one is not allowed, and this is to coincide with our safeguarding policies. A child must have a parent or carer with them, which simply doesn't comply with the government social distancing requirements. 2 or more people from one household playing with one person from outside of their household is also not permitted. The FA continues to work with the government and Sport England in order to provide guidance for grassroots football and look at what the plan to, as we come out of this within the next phase, what it means to us. This is a list of staff who are currently working. So you see at the top there, there's Liam, myself, Jenny and Ryan. and the rest of the staff are currently on furlough leave. We are hence directing all questions through the info email, because we are trying to pick up and respond to make sure that people get answers to questions that they raise. We did launch back on the 1st of April our new support portal. This is something that's in our website. It's available 24/7. So there's lots of information in there that certainly, frequently asked questions. If you've got a question, what I would say is have a look there first, because the chances are there's probably an answer. If there's not, you can raise an email from there, which will come into us to make sure we then update that and keep people up to date. So that is something that is available 24/7. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a second to see if there are any questions about what I've just said. Let's have a look. There's nothing in the chat. I can't see anyone's hand raised. So thank you. I'm going to pass on to Ryan next. Thank you.
Thanks, Ricky. Good evening, everyone. Onto the club affiliation and insurance section. Like Liam said at the start, this was presented to the clubs yesterday morning, and again, the same thing will be said to the clubs tomorrow evening. But we just wanted to make you aware of the information being circulated so we could be as open with everyone as possible. In terms of club affiliation, slightly later than normal, but that is going to open on Monday, the 1st of June 2020. There will be no price increase on the product fees from last season, and discounts will be applied when we know a restart date for grassroots football. You may have seen some county FAs announcing different discounts at the minute for the new season. For us, it's important that we wait until we know when football restarts, because if we say to all of our members now that it's free for next season, and actually there's only 6 months of the season, we've not really given them any value for money. So once we know when football will restart, we'll let all the clubs know what the discounts will be. But like I say, the most important thing is that there is no price increase on those product fees. Another important thing, and again, this will affect you as leagues, we're changing our insurance provider from SportsGuard to Bluefin for a number of reasons. One of them is that our clubs will get a better rate of insurance, but will pay less than normal. So we've been working really hard, myself, Ricky and Alison Smith, to get this to happen, and our board agreed that decision last week. We've also, from a club point of view, introduced another level of public liability insurance. So previously it would be the standard rate of public liability that you as leagues would also have taken out. For the new season, the clubs will have the option to take out what's called County Cover Plus, which covers player to player as well. So, for example, if a player broke another player's leg and the player that was injured tried to take legal proceedings against the person that committed the foul or the tackle, that cover would then help them to pay any fees that were then paid out through damages. So again, slightly different to last season, but that option is now going to be given to all our clubs that want to take that option out. We will be completing affiliation through the whole game system as normal. However, there will be a slight change that we won't be invoicing any clubs at the point of affiliation. So our first and primary aim is to get all our clubs affiliated, all the teams on the system, so we know how many clubs we've retained and what teams we've still got in place. Once we know football will restart, linked to the similar point on the second bullet point, we'll then invoice all of our clubs through Xero, so our accounting software, just so that they know what the prices are and the discounts that have been applied. All club secretaries and the chairs will receive an e-booklet before the 1st of June, detailing all the information that's above and going into a bit more detail about the different insurance covers and things like that. But it's important for us during this time, as it is difficult, to try and share as much information as possible and make it as simple for as people as possible. Are there any questions on that first bit?
We've got a question from Andrew Brown at the MRA.
Hi, Ricky. We had a management meeting last night as the MRA and have made the decision to reimburse our clubs for next season for cup competitions. Is it something that the DCFA have considered regarding county cups as a gesture back to the clubs?
Yeah, I think what we've done, Andrew, we've looked at a couple of models depending on when football restarts, and I think that's why for us at the minute we've committed to the clubs that there will be discounts, but until we know when football restarts, it will depend on what those discounts are. But that'll be across all of the products that they receive, not just the county cups, but also their team and their club affiliation fees.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Is there any other questions?
Nothing in the chat, Ryan.
Okay, perfect. I'll carry on. So as I mentioned, Xero is an accounting software that we use. We've used it for a number of different things across the season, and because it's different to what people receive on the whole game system, it's just important for us to share with you as leagues and clubs what those invoices look like. So that's just a draft invoice that you may receive. We've had a couple of people that, because it's not on the whole game system, have worried that it's a spam and things like that, but I can assure you at this stage that if it's in this draft format coming from us, then it certainly isn't. Are there any other questions on club affiliation before we move on to league sanctioning?
Nothing in the chat, Ryan. No hands raised.
Perfect. I think I've got off quite lightly so far. Onto the league sanctioning then. So I think for us, we wanted to show a flow chart in terms of the things that are in place for the new season, just so that everyone understands what both the commitments that us as the county FA and the leagues need to do. So the first part for us is for the leagues to send a copy of their proposed rules for the 2021 season and a copy of the previous season's accounts where possible, prior to the AGM, for us to look through those. Following that, as a county FA, we'll review those league rules if there are any amendments separate to score or scorey, and provide the feedback to you as a league, even if that's the case of, yep, everything's fine, or it may be that a couple of rules that you're proposing are contradicting score or scorey, and that's where we may advise that actually there's a rule that covers what you're trying to do as a league, or actually it's going completely against what the rules are saying. So can we look at considering something else? We'll then look to open the league sanctioning window around June, July, and as a county, we'll inform you as a league when that's going to take place. At that point, as a league, you'll then be able to complete section 1 and 2 of the league sanction form on the whole game system. Then we, as a county, will then check the compliance of all league officials. So the committee members that you've then agreed at your AGM and submitted on the whole game system will then check through all the compliance of all of those to make sure that they've got what they need to. At the minute, the whole game system will allow you to sanction your league without the DBS and safeguarding requirements, apart from the safeguarding for committee members. That, because that's an online course, that still will be required. Following that, once the league's AGM minutes and rules have been agreed, we'll then check that again for a second time against score and scorey, just to make sure that before the league season starts, everything's in place as it needs to be. And hopefully that reduce the amount of issues that we may face with the clubs throughout the season. Following that, the league, the only thing we'll be asking you to purchase at the start of the sanctioning process will be the public liability insurance, which will be through Bluefin, and we'll just make sure that meets requirements. Again, if that's being bought through us at the point of sanction, then obviously that will be meeting the requirements. Something important for us to share with you on the public liability is obviously that will cover you during all of your duties as well. So if whilst you're working from home potentially at the minute, or away from where you would normally have your committee meetings, that insurance will still cover you as committee members. Once that's all done and all the clubs are affiliated and everything's set out, we'll then look at the list of teams, divisions and cups to make sure that's all in the form. And most importantly, we'll make sure that all the teams are affiliated. And then following that, once that's all done and all your teams are affiliated, you as a league will then become sanctioned. Similar to the club affiliation, we are looking at discounts for the league sanctioning. Again, until we know what the format of football is when it restarts and when that's going to be, we're not in a position to disclose that with the leagues, because simply we don't know. As soon as we're in a position where football is going to restart, then we'll cascade all that information to you so you understand what the fees are involved. Again, similar to the clubs, there will be no price increases. So if as a league you're working out what your fees are, the best way to manage that budget is to go on the fees from last season and know that's going to be the absolute maximum that you would pay. Are there any questions on the league sanctioning point of view?
There's nothing in the chat, Ryan. Just give it a second. And there's no hands raised.
Perfect. On to the county cups. So following our board meeting last week, the season 19-20 will be communicated out to all finalists and members in the next few weeks. In terms of the 2020-21 season, we're asking all of our clubs to enter as normal. Again, they'll enter on the whole game system, and at the minute there won't be a fee that will be charged. Once football restarts, we will then decide whether or not the competition will go ahead for obvious reasons. We're conscious for you as leagues, depending on when football starts and what the format is for the season ahead, that we don't want to make our cup competitions make it difficult for you with your league fixtures and cup competitions that you may be looking at. So what our board will do once the decision to restart football is given by the FA and the government, they'll then make a decision on the county cups competition for the new season. But like I said, what we're looking to do is to get all clubs that are interested to enter as normal, and then we'll inform everyone of the decision as and when we restart. Are there any questions regarding county cups, or are we still okay to move on?
There's nothing in the chat, Ryan.
Thanks. On to the grassroots technology portal. So like Liam mentioned at the start, this would be a great place for you as a league to answer many of the questions that you have on the technology side of things. What we will do after the session is share the link with you so that it's easy for you to find everything. But I'll just give you an example of a couple of things that are on the system. So we've got a number of different things. As you can see towards the top already, there's a number of different points on league guidance, player registrations that again will help both you as a league and as clubs. As you can see on the right hand side, there's some different forums here that cover both club and league administration, with people across the country posing different questions that are there. There's some different things around team administrators for integrated leagues. One of the points someone's mentioned on the form that we sent out prior to the session was about the Matchday app. So again, as you can see here, there's a number of different questions and answers that give you what you may need for that. So an example, if we go on to the uploading of player addresses for your players, when you click onto the article, this one here, you can see there's a video. So that would give you a video of how to upload that. Again, there's some more links onto here in terms of how to do other things. If you think that it's useful, again, you can give it a tick. If you don't, you can put no. But after looking at this, if you still think that the question that you want to ask isn't quite here and you've exhausted everything that you can do by using the search function here, then you can create a new support ticket. By doing that, what that would do is it will feed it straight into the system, and the people managing this this support portal is the FA technology team. So the people that build and manage the different FA systems on a day-to-day basis, they're the people that manage this. So you're almost going to the super users that can help you with a variety of different things. Another thing that will help you as leagues as we look through the current time with not being able to have the face-to-face meetings, there's also something called the digital gym. So on here you can see there's a number of different things that show you how to run an online AGM with best practice guidance. Again, you can see here pre-meeting, there's some different links to click on, and hopefully there's plenty of information here that can give you that. There's also a PDF similar to the one that Liam sent out prior to today's meeting that gives you all the information. So there is lots of things on here. Again, you can see things ahead for the 2021-22 season. So there's a lot of information on here. I'd encourage you all at some point, if you have got any IT queries or questions that aren't specific in terms of things that we need to help with as a county FA. But like I say, there's loads of information here that I would certainly use as the first port of call. And again, if you struggle on here, either feel free to create a ticket with the technology team or come to us through the info app and we can do what we can to help. Ricky mentioned a few moments ago that we have a support portal ourselves, so it's in the same format as this, but obviously we have more things relating to the county FA, from facilities to player development and everything in between. So again, this is similar to ours. If there's anything you want on ours, it works in the same way. Is there any questions on the support portal?
There's nothing in the chat, Ryan.
Perfect. It links nicely. We've shared this, and the FA have shared this with all the club secretaries. There's 4 upcoming player registration sessions on the whole game system that are all going to be delivered on Microsoft Teams. So the format that we're using tonight, there's as you can see at the bottom, there's a link here to a form where you can register your attendance at one of those 4 events. Again, we'll send that out after today for anyone that wants to attend that session. But like I say, that's going to be delivered by the FA technology team that use the player registration system on a daily basis. So again, as a league committee member, if you're dealing with player registrations or you're just generally interested, it might be worth signing up to one of those 4 sessions. Jen, on to the safeguarding update.
Okay, thanks Ryan. Good evening everyone. Brief safeguarding update for you, just to let you know what's changed and what's changing over the next season. DBS checks, I'm sure most of you have seen the update from the FA. For anybody whose DBS expired between the 1st of March 2020 and the 1st of October 2020, they've had an extension for a 12-month period. So from whatever date it was, 12 months on, no new DBS checks will be submitted or can be submitted whilst football activity remains suspended. New DBS checks will be allowed as soon as we have a date to resume football. So just need to bear with us with DBS checks if they are new ones that you require. As it says there, no volunteers will be permitted to carry out regulated activity with under 18s until they have a DBS check. So we are hoping that when we have a date to resume football activity, we will have time to get out to do DBS clinics and to get out and see people within the community so we can verify documents as and where we need to. FA will provide a further update on processing new DBS checks in due course when there is further clarity. So as soon as we know, we have a date when it will resume, we will post an update on social media about how we're going to restart the DBS checks. The guidance that's been on for the 6 months, March to October, is only temporary, so that may be extended. We don't believe it will be reduced, but it may well be extended depending on what happens between now and then. Any questions on DBS checks at all? All happy with the update? Okay.
Nothing in chat, Jen.
Okay, thank you. We are getting off lightly this evening. So new measures for this season onwards. The FA have cascaded out, I understand, around mandating player registration with emails. One thing we will be asking of all leagues following this meeting is what your decision is around the 2021 season as to whether you will be mandating player registration with email for this season, because that at the moment is a league decision. For the 21-22 season, that will be FA mandated. So for any clubs that are currently asking the question, we are asking them to start that process. So obviously we don't have an influx next year with a large number of clubs or teams. Another update, during the 2021 season, all club welfare officers will need to renew their updates, the safeguarding children qualification, if that is due for renewal. Previously, they attend the welfare officer workshop and the safeguarding workshop only the once. Now, in line with coaches and everybody else, that qualification needs to be renewed. Again, another update that Ryan's touched on already for the 2021 season. Youth League committee members need to complete the online safeguarding for committee members course. That link I have sent out to all committee members who haven't completed. So if you haven't, please can you do that as soon as you can. We do have a couple of members who don't have email addresses, so again they do need to be added onto the whole game system, please, to allow us to make contact with you. One change that we have made within Derbyshire is for this season, 2021 season, we have asked adult leagues to nominate a league welfare officer in line with the youth leagues, and that's to assist us with the 16 and 17-year-olds in the open age, which I will touch on the next slide. But it's to help those clubs with the DBS checks around the county, so they don't need to do it through the county FA, and they don't have to keep visiting Derby when that needs to be done. So hopefully if we have a spread of league welfare officers around the county, that will ease the process for clubs. Another change, and this should have been for the 2021 season, but that's been put back for 12 months because of the current situation. Referees also have to have an in-date safeguarding qualification, FA DBS, and a parent linked email address. So similar to obviously the clubs registering the players with the parent link, referees also have to do it, and for them it's up to the age of 18. Any questions on what we've gone through there? Okay, next slide, Ryan, please.
Just 1 second, Jen.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a question.
Okay.
Carl Dean, will CWOs be able to redo their safeguarding qualification online?
Yes. Carl, all the recertifications now for everybody, once you have attended a face-to-face course, your recertification every time will be the online course. We have had some issues with it over the last few weeks. I am told now, touch wood, that it is all working correctly. So if you are struggling, drop me an email and I'll send you the new link through. But it should all be working. It should be okay to complete online now.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Nothing further at this stage.
Okay, so mention there a change that we're bringing in within Derbyshire, in line with the 16 and 17-year-old open age criteria. We have looked at a county FA action plan. One thing we've asked, as I say, the leagues to do is to nominate a welfare officer. We can then work with that person to set up. Obviously, the role has been working for some time with youth leagues. It'll be similar, not the same as with youth leagues, because they won't need to be as active, but we will be sending out to them over the next few weeks role-specific information to be cascaded to the nominated welfare officers. Obviously, the top one there has the green tick, which shows that all leagues have now nominated, so I'm grateful for that, thank you. We will then, probably around about June, early July time, look to hold a virtual meeting with all the league welfare officers. We did have a meeting planned in for May, but obviously that wasn't possible. That was a face-to-face meeting. So that will again be a virtual meeting with all the league welfare officers to again iron out any questions, any queries, give them more information around the role that they will need to be performing. The qualifications that they require are exactly the same as those for the Youth League, an in-date FA DBS, Safeguarding Children Workshop, Welfare Officer Workshop, the online Safeguarding for Committee Members course and the online Adult Safeguarding course. What we will be cascading out is obviously the 2 online courses can be completed currently. So we will be asking for those nominated representatives to make a start with the online qualifications as they are seen there. Next slide. Continuing on the action plan, whilst you can see that obviously they need to attend the safeguarding workshop and the welfare officer workshop, we have acknowledged that obviously that is a cost to leagues, so that cost will be covered by the county FA. We will be paying for both of those courses for the league welfare officer. We will be asking, though, the league welfare officer to encourage compliance from clubs with regard to the safeguarding responsibilities. All leagues and all clubs had a letter from the FA in January this year detailing what actions need to be taken with regard to 16 and 17-year-olds to ensure compliance. So we will be asking league welfare officers to help us and to encourage the compliance from the clubs with regard to what is required. As we've said already, league welfare officers to support the verification. So as and when the team manager or the coach needs a DBS check, it can be done by the league welfare officer as opposed to a trek down to Derby to see one of our members of staff. And as we've put there, County FA will be paying for the first 100 DBS checks for open age team officials. And that's obviously there to try and encourage as many officials through the DBS process as possible, as soon as new DBS checks can be processed. So please don't start that yet. It will need to be as and when obviously that process is opened up again. Any questions on the action plan at all, or what we're planning for League Welfare Officers?
There's no questions in the chat, Jen. Just check in, see if anyone's raised their hand. Nothing there, Jen.
Okay. So the other point there to make, following the letter that came out from the league, the FA to leagues, what you were asked to do if you have open age adult teams is to provide what the FA called league DBS verifiers. That's what we're calling the League Welfare Officers. So we're looking at the League Welfare Officers not just being a DBS verifier, but also taking on the welfare officer role as well. The FA have suggested that the League Welfare Officers or the leagues may want to hold DBS verification clinics on specified dates and times. That's certainly something that we will be looking at from a county FA perspective as and when we have a date to resume, because we do know that there could well be quite a number of DBS checks that we need to do. We do acknowledge that not all of those are around the Derby area, so we will be out and about doing those clinics around the county. The FA have also suggested that the leagues may want to offer financial support for DBS checks. So once that first 100 have been done, it might be that your league wants to help the clubs and the teams within your area if they haven't managed to do the DBS checks within that first 100. They're also suggesting that you speak to your county FA about running familiarisation sessions using the whole game system. That's something that we had planned from a safeguarding and player reg perspective in the summer. Jack and I were looking to run some sessions, but it's certainly something that we would be happy to look at in the future in conjunction with the leagues. If we can help clubs out that way, no problem whatsoever. And the other thing you were asked to do from the FA is distribute the FA's Know Your Rights in Football guidance, the 16 to 17-year-old players in your league. I know some clubs have already done that. I'm not sure whether any leagues have actually done that, but that leaflet is quite a handy leaflet just to send out. If anybody does need a copy of it, drop me an email and I can send that through to you, no problem at all. The other thing we will be asking for, and obviously Ryan's touched on it briefly, but when we are looking at the league affiliation, we will be looking this year for your safeguarding policy. And when I've looked across a number of the websites, I haven't seen many safeguarding policies. If you haven't got one yourself, we're not asking you to reproduce one. There is one on the FA website, and that's the complete directory that you can see there. If anybody hasn't had a look at it, it's just the FA at safeguarding, and it will give you the whole complete directory, and there's 50+ policies on there. So any policies that you want, any policies that you think you want to have a look at, all of them are on that website, that page, easy accessible. If you have a look at 1.4c, there's a template there that is for leagues, a safeguarding template, so you can purely and simply lift the policy, add your club, your league name in, and adopt the FA safeguarding policy. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be one that you write from scratch. The other policies that I will just highlight there, because I know some of you are involved with clubs as well, there are 2 brand new policies on there. 6.4 is a digital policy for football staying at home, particularly for coaches and managers and things you need to be aware of. And 8.5, safeguarding the digital world, the online procedures for parents and carers. So 2 handy ones there to have a look at that have just been launched in May 2020. Any questions on the policies at all?
Okay, there's nothing in the chat, Jen. I'm just checking for people who've raised their hand. No hand raised. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay, really mindful that we're approaching the time of the year when you would normally be hosting your league AGM. I think obviously quite clearly it's going to be different this year for obvious reasons. So you should have received some information via Ricky in terms of looking into the possibility of running your AGM online. Now, obviously, this can be done. I know some are looking at doing it through Zoom or using Microsoft Teams, which is obviously the software we're currently using for all our meetings at the moment, and that's how we're kind of getting by. It's been great from my point of view. I've received emails, phone calls from quite a few of you in terms of support for your own league, and we're more than happy. If you want to do that in terms of running your AGM online, we're more than happy to support you on that. Obviously, the other option is whether you delay until we know when we're going to be starting back. If we can start back in September, fantastic, but we've got to also think about worst case scenario. What happens if it is New Year, which that could happen. Hopefully it won't, but that could happen. So I think as a committee, within your own league committees, you need to think about this. But what I will say, and I want to make it clear that you've got myself, Ricky, Jen and Ryan to support you on this. I appreciate in this setting when we've got so many on the call, you probably don't want to ask too many questions right now. But like I said, we're at the end of the phone, we're on email, and more than happy to speak to you over this setting on a one-to-one. That's no problem at all. But we're here to offer that support. I just want to make that clear. As Ryan mentioned, we've also got access to that digital gym, which highlights how to carry out an AGM online and give you all the information you need. I appreciate some of you may not be comfortable doing that. So again, this is where we'll come in. But we just need to think about what you want to do. But there is that flexibility in terms of delaying your AGM. Just before we move on to the next slide, has anybody got any thoughts on that? Or are you still carrying on as normal?
Okay, there's no hands raised, Liam. I think what I'm just going to add to people is that it is something that we've been looking into. We've been talking to the FA. The FA advises that actually, under the standard code of rules, you could delay your AGM because we don't know when the season is going to start. So you're going to be looking to get approval of your teams and everything like that, but we don't know when that will start. So there is an option for you. If you wanted to delay, you could, because actually until we know a start date, that's then potentially when we'd have to get an AGM in place.
Thanks, Ricky.
Okay, Lynn, we've got a question, I think. So the question is, what would the DCFA preference be, to delay or to hold online?
Rick, sorry, mate.
I was going to say, I just think with this question, I think it's about you actually looking at your members as well. If you can do online and you think your members have joined, I think the challenge is you won't be able to confirm necessarily your teams. We're opening affiliation on the 1st of June, but there's no end date. Usually we have an end date for getting things in by. Sometimes that's your AGM. Because we're opening later this year, it might be quite difficult for clubs to meet that in time for when your AGMs are. We want to put the offer out there that actually you're not against the standard code of rules if you put a delay in place. What you need to do if you want to delay, you just need to inform us as the county FA, as the sanctioning body, that that's what you plan to do, and then inform your members. Because you would have set your AGM, I believe, in last year's AGM. You've done the dates for the season for your member meetings. So you would have followed it through the year. So to put a delay in is possible. And if you say what's the preference, I think at the moment it's very difficult to decide what some of the decisions that need to be made at AGM. So personally for me, I think a preference of delaying, because it's not as if when the government advice comes, there will be a lead into it for when football can get back and running again. And I think then would be the time to do the meetings, which may still have to be online, because we may not be able to gather large groups. I know some of you have got large numbers, so you may not be able to get them all into a room.
I think Ricky, just adding to that point, and again, without trying to influence leagues, but more to give them something to consider, is that if at the AGM you agree a structure for the new season and that then changes due to what the new season looks like, that will then mean that you have to have another meeting to discuss this. So potentially by delaying that, it will give you more opportunity to have the one meeting but confirm what the season looks like again when you actually know what's going to be happening.
Okay, we've just got another question from Kevin. Can you confirm where in SCORE is the authority to delay beyond the date declared? Ryan, do you want to come back on that, or do you want us to take that back to the
No, so in terms of the exact point, Kevin, I can send you that after the meeting is finished. In terms of this, we've spoken to the FA at length today. As a county FA, as we are your sanctioning body, then with our approval, then we are able to accept that through your league rules.
Okay.
I think it's important to note that some of these situations aren't actually in the standard code of rules, and that's what this situation of unprecedented time has done. We have been, last week I didn't know the answer to that question, but we now know it is possible and can be done. And as a sanctioning body, so for all leagues that sanction to us, if you make that request, we can obviously put that support in place.
Thanks, Kevin, for that question. Okay, just moving to the next slide, right? Okay, I know you will have received correspondence from Adam Wing just prior to the lockdown in terms of the end of season decision, and also Ricky followed that up with another email just asking for information from the leagues in terms of how you would end the current 19-20 season. So option one there, obviously competitions are brought to an immediate end with results expunged, i.e. without promotion or relegation occurring, or option two, league positions and promotions and relegation are resolved by a points per game calculation. Just move on to the next slide, Ryan, for me. Okay, so this is what we've had back from the league so far. For those that haven't come back, don't worry, but if you want to obviously let us know either via an email or just give us a call, that'll be fine, just to let us know. So just wanted to share who's come back in terms of how they've ended the current season. So you can see the leagues on there. I'm not going to read through it. You can see that for yourselves. Just added a column in there, obviously, for date of AGM. If you go on to the next slide, Ryan. So there's a couple of leagues that have been very proactive already, just signalling there, obviously, when their date of the AGM will be. But given, obviously, what we've discussed, it might be something that you do think about. Obviously, like I said, for those leagues that haven't come back to us yet, if you just let us know when you can, that'd be much appreciated. Any questions on the end of the current season or AGMs? Has anybody got any? Okay, thanks, Josh. Option two, that's great. Thank you. So that's Josh at Hope Valley. Thank you, Josh. Any questions on what we've just discussed on AGMs or the end of the current season?
Yeah, Liam.
Yeah.
Richard, Derby City League.
Hi, Richard.
I don't know whether Tony's on or not. He was having troubles earlier. Our AGM was due in 4 weeks' time. It's obviously been cancelled, but we do have a pre-season meeting with all the clubs at the end of August.
Right.
It is our intention to incorporate the AGM in that at this time. I mean, that might change, but that is our plan at the moment.
That's great, Richard. And obviously, as I said before, if you need our support, obviously you've got myself, Ricky, Ryan, and Jen. Should you need all four or just me? Just let us know, really, Richard, on that.
Yeah, thanks, Liam.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
We've got a question, Liam. We've got Derby Church League option one, and then I think we've got somebody with their hands raised. So just bear me 1 second. Yeah. Sean Riley, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi Ricky. Just a quick question. If a league was going to do incentives to like free cup entry next season, like the MRA are doing, would that be ratified at the AGM, or is it something league management makes a decision on the league itself and goes to the clubs and says it's free to enter next year? I'm just wondering how you do that.
Okay.
Yeah, go on, mate. Go on, mate.
So in relation to that, as a league management committee, you can make options to propose to your membership, and that's potentially what the league management committee would be doing to offer that. So it is something your committee know what your financial position, where everything is for you, so you can then put that in place and put that forward. You know, and then in some ways you're asking your committee to your AGM to ratify that, but that is something that you can put in place. Does that answer it, Sean?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Ricky. Okay, next slide. No more questions. Okay, just mindful that we've done a lot of talking this evening. We've got roughly about 10 minutes left. So in terms of league updates, if anybody wants to share with us, obviously plans moving forward for next season, it's great to hear from Andrew at the MRA, the support they're giving to clubs in terms of reimbursing the cup fees for last season. That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that, Andrew. As I mentioned earlier, there's been quite a few of you been in contact, which is great. We want that. We want to encourage that. Appreciate, like I said earlier, it's difficult in this setting to have that dialogue, but if there's any support you need, you know where we are. So does anybody want to share anything in terms of support for their clubs or anything that's changing moving forward?
We've got someone's
Yes, Oliver?
hand raised. Yeah.
Yes, Liam, can you hear me all right?
Yes, Oliver, yeah.
As you and I have discussed, in the Chesterfield Futsal League, we propose moving to a completely non-cash environment next season. Several of our larger clubs pay electronically now anyway. We want to do that for the whole league, and I can see there are going to be issues around the smaller clubs and so on and so forth. And I wonder whether any of the other leagues in Derbyshire were entirely non-cash in terms of payment of all fees, including matchday fees, and if so, whether they could share their experience with me so we could learn from their experience.
Thanks, Oliver. Is anybody willing to come forward and just answer that question? No, right, okay.
There's no comments or hands raised,
No.
Liam. So
Okay,
that could mean there's nobody doing it fully cash.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, if that is the case, then that's fine. I think if you're not comfortable coming forward in this environment, that's fine. I think if you can drop me an email, if you have obviously currently got cashless payments, which obviously a process that you're using, which is working well. I think it's ideas like this that we want to share with all our leagues so we can all work together. So appreciate you might not be comfortable answering that question right now. So if you want to come through me, and then obviously I can liaise with Oliver and move that forward.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Oliver.
Liam, I think on that as well, if the Chesterfield Futsal League are going to be the only league, you know, following tonight that are going through that, it would be good, Oliver, to hear how the league get on with it in the new season, because it may be something that other leagues could then benefit from.
Yes, I'll do that, Ryan. I'll keep a note of the problems we face and how we handle it. But
Yeah, no,
I'm sure I'm coming back to you for advice before we get to that stage.
That's great. Thank you.
Right.
We've got a question. We've got a question, Liam.
Yeah, go on then.
So we've got Hope Valley potentially looking to take advantage of the likely delay between the affiliation open date and start of the season, getting all club members trained on the online systems to bring the league into the current century. Thanks,
Great.
Josh.
Thanks, Josh, for that. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Josh, with that, if there's any support or help you need from us as a county, then let us know. Like I say, the grassroots portal that we touched on earlier in the evening may be of use to the clubs that you've got, but if not, if you need any help for us, let us know and we can help you with that session.
His microphone's not working, so he's typing. He thanks you for that, Ryan. Thank you. Okay, there's nothing further in, Liam.
No, okay.
No questions now raised.
just move on to the next slide, Ryan, which I think, yeah, so just wanted to put this slide up because, you know, we've talked a lot about football. I appreciate we're all missing football. And, you know, we spoke with the clubs yesterday and we've got another one tomorrow. It's important we do stay in contact. But what's more important above all else is our health and our families, our mental health, people obviously with their jobs, etc. So that obviously comes first before football. And again, we are at the end of the phone should you need to talk to us and need that support. So I just wanted to make that clear that, you know, you're not on your own. You know, you've got the support from the County FA, and I think hopefully when we get through this, and we will come back stronger, and we'll see the relaunch of football across the board, and hopefully that, you know, we'll get back to normal as soon as we can. Just to kind of finish it off, so we've got time now, probably 5 minutes or so, a bit of time to ask any questions of me, Ricky, Jen or Ryan. Hopefully we'll be able to answer them now. If not, we can obviously take that question away and come back to you. Has anybody got any questions for us on anything that we've covered or anything we've missed?
There's nothing in the chat, Liam. There's no hands raised.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Jenny.
We've got a hand raised.
Yeah, it's Richard again. Jenny, I did the online safeguarding for committee members. It's not. I had to, well, not lie a little bit, but there were a lot of questions there I couldn't answer because I'm not connected to a club. Will they be coming out with something more suitable, do you think? They
will. Yeah, I think the FA did acknowledge that it was written initially for clubs. We're just at the moment, I have been actually looking at it today, they are looking at a new online course that will encompass all leagues, clubs, referees, club welfare officers. So it's more applicable to everybody because they do take on board that a lot of the scenarios are more club related. And as I say, it has been acknowledged by the FA. And I think, like you say, you just need to think outside the box, I think, a little bit to answer some of them. But I think the idea really is just to give the awareness at the moment until we have the new package, which, as I say, is in the writing stage now. So we are just piloting it currently. So hopefully, will it be with us for this season? I'm not too sure. Everybody will need to complete the one that we've got currently, but hopefully then by the time you refresh it, we will have the new one that will be more applicable to you in leagues.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? No? Okay. Just to let you know, we're going to be sending through just a straightforward information sheet, really related to obviously league sanctioning for next season. So just to help us gather the information of each league, just asking for the general details, obviously regarding the rules, regarding your policies, such as obviously safeguarding policy, your date of your AGM, which you know that when that will be. Also, if there is a delay, given what we've just discussed, just let us know that you could potentially be delaying that. Obviously, as Ryan's mentioned earlier, around your league finance as well. So just providing that. And then, as we mentioned, and obviously a great example that Andrew mentioned with the MRA is just that club support. So if there's anything you are thinking about, or you're yet to discuss with your committee members in terms of support for the clubs for next season, if you can let us know that'd be great. And then obviously we can share that with all our leagues, and obviously we can learn from each other and work together. So we will get that sent over to you, and you will also get a copy, obviously, of the presentation which we've put together. So you've got that, and I appreciate, when you get that, you may have some questions. Some of us like to be reflective and have a good think about what we've gone through tonight. So you might need some time just to go through that. So we can obviously discuss that when you're ready. Jenny, have you got
Just one other question, Liam, that's been put on the chat from Isabel about who the Derby City League balance sheet for the 1920 season should be sent through to.
Ryan, are you okay accepting that?
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to send it across to me.
I think what I would say, Isabel, the form that we're going to send you, it asks for that information, so you can just attach it to the form and it would then upload and come into us. Because what we want to try and do is get all the information that's required for sanctioning from each league. So, you know, even if some people have got it available now, we can take it now. If it's available later, we'll want to have it later, so we can make sure everything's in place. And, you know, those questions can be answered. And if there are questions, we know who to talk to within the league.
Okay, we did the same with the clubs yesterday, so we're getting obviously the feedback on this session as well in terms of how it's gone. If there's any future topics that you want us to cover, again, we can do that. Unfortunately, this is going to be something that we're going to have to do in terms of communication moving forward. But again, you know, it's important we do have that dialogue with you and stay in contact. And like I said, more than happy to discuss on a one-to-one level as well.
One final question, Liam, on the chat. Josh from Hope Valley about the presentation. Yes, Josh, it will be sent out to all attendees.
Great. Okay. So I think that just finishes tonight's meeting. So if there are no further questions, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Obviously, your support and the effort and time you put in to running your leagues is much appreciated by the County FA, and we are here should you need us as and when. So please don't hesitate to get in contact. But thank you again and take care, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, Liam. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you.